The galaxy was quiet after many long years of war. Human ships and barbarian ships no longer fought in space. For the first time in decades, the stars looked calm again. The war between humans and the barbarian empire had killed millions. Entire planets had burned. Whole cities had turned to dust. Now both sides were tired. Both sides wanted peace. On the capital space station of the Human Alliance, leaders from many worlds had gathered. The biggest hall on the station was full of light, flags, and security guards. At the center of the hall stood two figures. One was Commander Jason Cole, the most respected human war leader. The other was King Draxir, the ruler of the barbarian empire. King Draxir was tall, wide, and covered in battle scars. His red armor shined under the bright lights. His sharp eyes watched everything. Commander Cole stood still in his black uniform. His face was calm, but his heart was not. A peace treaty was placed between them on a silver table. One simple touch would end the war. The entire galaxy watched this moment live. King Draxir slowly placed his large hand on the treaty screen. Commander Cole did the same. The screen glowed blue. The hall exploded with loud cheers. The war was officially over. Peace had won. But inside Commander Cole, something felt wrong. He had fought barbarians for 20 years. He knew their ways. They never gave up so easily. They never accepted defeat with a smile. Yet King Draxir was smiling. A wide, calm smile. Too calm. That night, celebrations filled the human capital world. Ships flew in bright patterns across the sky. Music, lights, and joy could be seen everywhere. People believed the war was truly over. But far away from the celebrations, in a quiet control room deep inside the space station, a red warning light blinked once. Then it stopped. No one noticed. Commander Cole stood alone at a wide glass window. He looked at the stars in silence. His second-in-command, Captain Elias Vorn, walked toward him. "You should be happy, sir," Elias said. "We finally did it. The war is over." Commander Cole did not turn. "Wars do not end so clean," he replied. "They only sleep." Elias smiled. "Try to keep things light. Maybe this one is different." Cole slowly shook his head. "I hope you are right," he said. At the same time, far beyond human space, deep inside the dark regions of the galaxy, a hidden barbarian fleet was already moving. Silent, cold, ready. On the bridge of a massive barbarian warship, a sharp-faced general stood before a hologram of King Draxir. "The humans believe in peace," the general said. "They are celebrating." King Draxir's smile was gone now. Only hunger remained in his eyes. "Good," the king said. "Let them celebrate." Back in human space, the first signs of betrayal appeared. A small mining colony near the border lost all contact. Then another. Then another. At first, the Human Council believed it was a system error. But Commander Cole felt the truth in his bones. 3 hours later, the alarm screamed across the capital station. Red lights flashed. Emergency shields rose. Ships rushed into battle formation. "What is happening?" Elias shouted as he ran beside Cole through the command deck. Cole was already reading the data on the main screen. His face turned cold. "Barbarian fleets," he said. "They crossed the border in full force." The main screen exploded with war signals. Dozens of human colonies were under attack. Defense lines were failing fast. Peace had lasted only a few hours. On the far edge of human space, the first barbarian strike hit like a storm. Civilian stations were destroyed. Escape ships were shot down. Entire cities vanished in fire. The galaxy had just entered a new war, and this one would be worse than all before it. Commander Cole stood at the center of the command bridge, his hands clenched into fists. His voice was steady, but filled with fire. "Send the full fleet," he ordered. "This is no border fight. This is betrayal." As human warships jumped into light speed one after another, a single message arrived on Cole's private channel. It carried no name, only one sentence. "You trusted the wrong king." Commander Cole stared at the message in silence. The truth was clear now. Peace had been a lie. The barbarians' betrayal had already begun. and the galaxy would burn again. The first human colony fell in less than 10 minutes. Mining Station Delta 7 was not a military base. It had families, workers, and supply ships. No heavy weapons, no strong shields. Barbarian warships came out of hyperspace like dark shadows. Without warning, they opened fire. Bright energy beams cut through metal and stone. Defense towers exploded one by one. People ran in fear. Emergency ships tried to escape, but the sky was full of enemy fire. Most of them never made it out. By the time the human fleet arrived, Delta 7 was already dead. Nothing remained but fire and broken steel. On the main human command ship, Commander Jason Cole watched the report in silence. His face was hard like stone. Captain Elias stood beside him, his eyes filled with anger. "They killed civilians," Elias said. "They knew there was no defense." "That was the message," Cole replied calmly. "They want us to feel fear." Before the crew could rest, another alert sounded. Then another. 5 more human colonies were under attack at the same time. The Barbarian fleet was moving with perfect timing, like they had studied every human defense line, like it knew every weak point. Cole understood one terrible truth. Someone had helped them. The human fleet split into battle groups. Lights of hyperspace flashed across the dark. War had returned in full force. The first real space battle began near Colony Ares Prime. Human defense ships formed a tight wall. Energy shields glowed blue. Behind them, thousands of civilians waited in fear. Barbarian ships arrived like a storm. Their weapons were heavier, stronger, and faster than before. They had upgraded their fleet during the years of peace. The first exchange of fire lit the stars like lightning. Ships exploded in bright fireballs. Metal parts scattered across space. Captain Elias controlled the front battle line. His hands moved fast across the control panel. "Hold formation," he ordered. "We protect the colony at all costs." Commander Cole stood behind him, watching every move. A massive Barbarian battleship broke through the human line. Its cannons turned toward the colony. One shot from that ship could destroy the city below. Without hesitation, Cole grabbed the command channel. "All ships, focus fire on that battleship now." Dozens of human ships changed direction at once. Heavy missiles and energy blasts hit the Barbarian ship from all sides. Its shield shattered. Its engines failed. With one final explosion, the beast of steel was gone. For the first time in this war, humans had pushed back. Cheers filled the command deck. But Cole did not smile. "This is only the beginning," he said. As the battle continued, a damaged Barbarian fighter was forced to land on a nearby moon. Human soldiers moved fast. They surrounded the crash site and captured the pilot alive. The prisoner was brought in chains before Commander Cole. The Barbarian's body was wounded, but his eyes were full of pride. "Why did your king break the peace?" Cole asked. "You had no reason." The Barbarian laughed weakly. "There was never peace," he said. "Only preparation." Cole's eyes sharpened. "Preparation for what?" "For your end," the prisoner replied. "This war was planned long before the treaty, long before your people celebrated." The room turned silent. Then the Barbarian said something that changed everything. "Your defenses, your ship routes, your weak zones, we knew them all." Elias stepped forward in shock. "That information is classified." The Barbarian smiled through his blood. "Not to your traitor." Those 2 words hit harder than any weapon. Traitor. It meant someone from the human side had helped the enemy. Someone powerful. Someone close to the command. Before the prisoner could say more, his body suddenly shook. A hidden device inside him activated. In one flash of light, he was gone. Silence forever. Commander Cole slowly turned away. His face was darker than ever. "This is not just war," he said. "This is betrayal from inside." As the human fleet fought to protect what remained of their worlds, the true enemy was no longer only in space. It was now hidden among them, and the hunt for the traitor had just begun. The words of the dying Barbarian echoed in Commander Cole's mind. "Not to your traitor." The command room stayed silent for many seconds. Screens still showed burning colonies and moving fleets. But the real danger was no longer only outside. It was inside the human alliance. Cole turned to his officers slowly, his eyes sharp and focused. "No one leaves this ship," he said, "until we know who the traitor is." Security teams moved at once. All exits were sealed. Every channel was locked. Captain Elias stood beside Cole. "Sir, if the enemy knows our defense lines," he said, "then this person must be very high in rank." Cole nodded. "That is what worries me most." In a human council tower on the capital world, alarms began to sound. Emergency lights flashed across long halls. Council members were moved to safe rooms under heavy guard. Among them was Counselor Marcus Vire, a powerful man with control over fleet routes and supply lines. He sat alone in a dark room, calm and silent. Too calm. On the command ship, Cole studied the data from the last attacks. He noticed something strange. Each barbarian strike hit only perfect weak points, points that had been changed secretly just days before the treaty. Only 3 people had access to that level of data: Cole, Captain Elias, and Counselor Marcus Vire. Elias saw the list and looked up in shock. "Sir, that's impossible." Cole did not answer at once. He trusted Elias with his life. Marcus Vire, however, was another story. Vire had always pushed for peace, always rushed the treaty, always spoke about ending the war quickly. Now, Cole understood why. "Send a silent arrest order," Cole said. "Do not alert him." But they were already too late. On the capital world, the lights in Vire's safe room suddenly went out. All power dropped to 0. Security guards rushed the door. They broke it open with weapons ready. The room was empty. Only a large open window remained. And outside, a small escape ship vanished into the clouds. "He's running," Elias said, his voice full of anger. "He already ran," Cole replied coldly. The traitor was free and heading straight into enemy space. The human fleet tried to track the escape ship, but it disappeared into a storm of hyperspace signals, hidden by barbarian jammers. That was all the proof they needed. The traitor had chosen his side. At the same time, the war grew darker. Barbarian fleets pushed deeper into human space. Supply lines were cut. Rescue ships were destroyed. Many worlds called for help that never arrived in time. In the middle of one fierce battle, Cole's command ship was hit by heavy fire. The shields nearly failed. Crew members were thrown to the floor. Fire spread across one deck. Yet Cole did not move from his station. He watched the battle with burning eyes. "Humans do not fall without a fight," he said. "All units push forward." The human fleet answered with full force. Their ships moved like a wall of steel. They broke through the barbarian line with pure will and power. For every human ship that fell, 2 enemy ships exploded. On the darkest edge of the battlefield, a secret meeting was taking place. Counselor Marcus Vire stood inside a barbarian warship, facing King Draxier himself. "You did your job well," the king said slowly. "You gave us their weakness." Vire lowered his head. "You promised me protection," he said, "and a place in the new order." King Draxier smiled. "The weak always ask for safety," he replied. "The strong take it." Vire felt fear for the first time. Back on the human command ship, a new message reached Cole. This one was not hidden. It came directly from the Barbarian King. A large image of King Draxier filled the screen, his eyes full of fire and pride. "Your peace leader sleeps on my ship now," the king said. "Your counsel is broken." Cole stepped closer to the screen. "You will pay for this," he said, calm but deadly. King Draxier laughed. "Come and try," he replied. The screen went dark. The war was no longer only about power or space. It had become personal. And for Commander Cole, the hunt had now 2 targets: the Barbarian King and the human traitor who sold his own people. The human alliance was bleeding. Worlds were burning. Ships were falling. But the war had also lit a fire inside every human heart. Commander Cole stood before the full fleet on the main battle channel. His face was tired, but his eyes were strong. "They betrayed our trust," he said. They burned our homes. They killed our people. But today we remind the galaxy who humans are. Silence filled the channel for one long second. Then thousands of voices answered together. For humanity, the biggest human counterattack in history began. All across human space, hidden fleets powered up at once. Old war ships returned to service. Experimental fighters rolled out from secret docks. Weapon factories worked without rest. The humans were no longer defending. They were hunting. The first target was a massive barbarian supply world, a planet that fed their entire war machine. The barbarian defenses were strong. Thick shield systems covered the planet. Heavy cannons watched space like burning eyes. But Commander Cole had a plan, a dangerous one. The human fleet arrived in 3 attack waves. The first wave took the full enemy fire. Ships exploded. Pilots died, but they broke the outer defense line. The second wave rushed in behind them. Fast fighters moved like shadows. They destroyed shield generators one by one. Then the third wave arrived. Cole's command ship at its center. All heavy guns fire, Cole ordered. The sky above the barbarian world turned into endless fire. Cities burned. Factories exploded. The supply world was finished. For the first time since the betrayal, the barbarians felt fear. But King Draxier did not retreat. Instead, he sent his most feared asset, the Black Fong fleet. These warships were built only for killing. They had no mercy shields, no retreat systems, only weapons. The Black Fong fleet met the human counterforce near a Dead Star system. The darkness of space was filled with fire again. Captain Elias led the front line. His ship took heavy damage. 2 engines failed. Fire spread through the lower decks. Fall back, his crew shouted. But Elias shook his head. If we fall back, they reach the civilians, he said. We hold here. One by one, human ships formed a wall around his damaged cruiser. Taking hits meant for him, dying for him, for the line. Commander Cole watched this stand from the war map. His chest felt heavy. Redirect my ship, he ordered. We go to Elias. The command crew hesitated. That sector is a death trap, one officer said. Cole's voice did not change. So, is this war? His command ship jumped straight into the worst of the battle. At close range, Cole activated a forbidden weapon. A pulse cannon built from alien tech. A weapon never tested in real battle. 1 shot only, the weapons officer warned. That is enough, Cole replied. The cannon fired. A wave of blue energy ripped through space. 10 Black Fong ships vanished in one flash. The battlefield went silent for 1 short second. Then the humans attacked with everything they had. The Black Fong fleet broke. Some tried to escape. Others fought to the death. The humans did not stop. They chased them into the dark. Victory belonged to humanity that day, but it came with a price. Countless ships did not return. Too many names were added to the dead list. Captain Elias survived. Barely. His ship was nearly torn in half, but the civilians behind him were saved. Later, on the quiet bridge of the command ship, Cole stood alone again. Stars moved slowly beyond the glass. Humanity had struck back. Hard, loud, with full force. But the war was far from over. A new secret report arrived on Cole's screen. The traitor Marcus Vire was no longer with the barbarian fleet. He had been moved to a hidden location, protected by something even the king feared. Cole closed his eyes slowly. The time for defense is over, he said. The time for the hunt is now. Far away, King Draxier watched human ships burn barbarian worlds in return. His fists tightened in anger. The game is no longer slow, the king said. It is now blood for blood. And the galaxy trembled as both sides prepared for something far worse than open war. The victory over the Black Fong fleet gave humans hope. But hope did not stop the war. It only gave people strength to keep fighting. The barbarian counterstrike came fast. Too fast. 3 human core worlds were targeted at the same time. Not border colonies, not small stations, but living worlds full of families, children, and cities. Commander Cole saw the war map light up in red. His heart sank. "They are not trying to win space," he said. "They are trying to break our people." The human fleet split again. Every ship pushed beyond safe limits. Engines overheated. Crews worked without sleep. Captain Elias led one defense group toward the planet New Horizon, a green world filled with oceans and tall cities. Millions lived there, and the Barbarian fleet was already on its way. When Elias arrived, the sky was full of fire. Enemy ships were diving toward the planet. Defense satellites were falling one by one. "All ships, intercept now," Elias shouted. Human fighters rushed in like a storm. Missiles and lasers filled the sky. The first Barbarian wave was stopped, but then the second wave arrived. Heavier, stronger, deadlier. Elias's ship took a direct hit. The bridge shook. Screens went dark. Fire spread across the command deck. "We lost engine 2, an officer shouted. "Shields at 20%. Elias looked at the planet below him. He could see the lights of cities. People still alive, still hoping. "Move the ship forward," he ordered. The crew stared at him in shock. "Sir, the ship will not survive another hit." Elias gave a slow smile. "Then it will not take another hit." He pushed his damaged cruiser straight into the path of a massive Barbarian dreadnought. The enemy ship fired. Heavy beams tore into Elias's hull. Metal screamed. Fire exploded. But the dreadnought never reached the planet. Elias's ship crashed into its main weapon core. Both ships vanished in a single white flash in space. On the command ship, Commander Cole felt it before he saw it. His screen confirmed the truth a second later. Captain Elias was gone. His ship was gone. But New Horizons still stood. The command bridge fell silent. No one spoke. No one moved. Cole slowly closed his eyes. The loss hit him like a blade. Elias had been with him through dozens of battles, through victories and defeats, through life and death. He saved them. One officer whispered. "Yes," Cole replied quietly. "He saved them all." The defense of New Horizon became a symbol across human space. A story of one ship, one crew, one sacrifice. People stopped running. Factories worked harder. Young pilots volunteered in record numbers. Humanity did not break. It hardened, but the enemy also changed. King Draxier watched the failed attack in silence. His generals waited for his rage, but it did not come. Instead, he gave a new order. "The next strike will not be on cities," he said. "It will be on their soul." And that soul was Commander Cole. A secret message was sent through broken channels. Only Cole could see it. On the screen appeared the face of the traitor, Marcus Vire. He looked thinner now, more afraid. "Your friend died because of you," Vire said, his voice shaking. "You could have stopped this war." Cole stepped closer to the screen. "You sold our people," he said. "You chose your end." Vire laughed weakly. "You think this pain is enough. The king is preparing something you cannot stop." The screen went black. Cole stood in silence, his hands tight at his sides. Around him, the war continued. But inside him, something had changed forever. This war was no longer for borders, or power, or control. Now it was for every life already lost, for every ship destroyed, for every friend who did not return. Far away in the dark, King Draxier prepared his final trap, one built not just to win the war, but to crush the heart of humanity itself. And Commander Cole felt it coming. Captain Elias was gone, but his sacrifice had changed everything. Human ships now fought with fire in their hearts. They no longer waited for orders in fear. They attacked with purpose. Commander Cole stood on the bridge of his command ship. The galaxy map burned in red and blue lights. Enemy signals were moving in strange patterns. "Too clean, too perfect. They're pulling back," one officer said. "All major Barbarian fleets are retreating at once." Cole's eyes narrowed. "That is not fear," he said. "That is a trap." The Human Council called an emergency war meeting. For the first time since the betrayal, the leaders were no longer divided. They all felt the same danger. "The enemy wants us to chase them," Cole said, "and they want us to chase them fast." A new signal suddenly appeared on the war map. a massive energy point hidden behind a dark nebula. It was unlike anything seen before. "What is that location?" Cole asked sharply. A silent pause filled the room as scanners worked at full power. Then the answer came, heavy and slow. "It is a mobile fortress," the officer said, "large enough to hold an entire fleet inside." The truth hit at once. King Draxier was gathering everything in one place for one final strike. At the same time, deep inside that hidden fortress, Marcus Vire sat in chains. His face was pale. His hands were shaking. He was brought before King Drax. The king's shadow covered him like a mountain. "You served well," Draxier said coldly. "Now you will serve one last time." Vire raised his head in fear. "I gave you everything," he said. "The codes, the routes, the weak points." The king leaned closer. "And now you will give me their commander." Back in human space, a new message reached Commander Cole. This one was open and clear. Marcus Vire appeared on the screen, beaten and weak. "Cole," Vire whispered, "he is calling you." The screen shifted. King Draxier stood behind the traitor. "Bring your full fleet to this location," the king said, "if you want him alive." The coordinates appeared on the screen. The same place as the hidden fortress. The trap was now visible and impossible to ignore. The council shouted in fear. "It is suicide. We cannot walk into his jaws." Cole stared at the coordinates in silence. Then he spoke with calm fire. "If we do not go," he said, "he will come to us with everything." The room went silent. Slowly, the council nodded. The final battle was no longer a matter of choice. The human fleet was gathered. Every remaining warship, every fighter, every weapon. Pilots sent their last messages home. Engineers worked until their hands bled. Soldiers prepared for a battle that many would not return from. As the fleet moved toward the dark nebula, space itself seemed to grow heavy. Inside the fortress, Marcus Vire was placed inside a transmission chamber. The king wanted Commander Cole to see his fate with his own eyes. The human fleet arrived at the edge of the nebula. Sensors failed. Visibility dropped to almost nothing. Then the fortress appeared, a giant shadow in the dark, surrounded by thousands of Barbarian warships. The trap had closed. "All ships, hold position," Cole ordered, his voice steady, his heart burning. The Barbarian fleet began to move. Slowly, like a closing fist. On the main enemy screen, King Draxier appeared once more. "This is where humanity ends," the king said. Cole stepped forward. "This is where your lie ends," he replied. At that moment, a hidden human signal activated inside the nebula. One that no one saw coming. One built with technology taken from the Black Fong fleet. The nebula itself began to shift. Energy storms rose without warning. Barbarian formations broke in confusion. The trap was no longer one-sided. But before the battle could fully begin, a horrifying signal appeared inside the human fleet itself. Enemy troops had activated from hidden transports, planted long before by the traitor. Explosions ripped through 3 human carriers from the inside. Fighters were lost before they could launch. The final battle had begun in chaos. And in chains inside the fortress, Marcus Vire finally understood the truth. He was never a partner. He was only bait. The battlefield exploded into fire. Inside the dark nebula, human ships and barbarian warships crashed into each other like storms. Lasers burned through the mist. Missiles shook space itself. But the humans did not fall back. They pushed forward, straight into the jaws of death. Commander Cole stood on the bridge of his command ship. His ship shook with every hit, but his voice stayed calm. "All units advance," he ordered. "No retreat today." Human pilots answered with fire. One by one, they broke the enemy lines. Even when their ships were burning, they flew forward, not back. Inside the barbarian fortress, King Draxier watched with growing anger. Humans were not running. They were charging. "Release the final guard," the king ordered. From the depths of the fortress, a massive war machine moved forward, larger than any ship before, covered in ancient armor. powered by dark energy. It smashed into the human fleet like a falling star. 7 human ships were destroyed in seconds. The battlefield shook in fear. Commander Cole saw the opening he needed. "That machine controls the fortress," he said. "All strike groups, follow me." His ship led the charge straight toward the heart of the enemy. Inside the fortress, Marcus Vire was dragged across the floor toward the central chamber. He could hear the war outside, the screams of metal, the cries of dying ships. "You promised me safety," Vire whispered in fear. King Draxier looked at him with cold eyes. "I promised you power," the king replied, "and you were never strong enough to hold it." With one cruel motion, the king activated a deadly device around Vire's neck. But before it could fire, something else happened. Human troops crushed through the outer walls of the fortress. Boarding teams forced their way inside. Battle broke out in narrow halls. Human soldiers fought room by room, step by step. Commander Cole personally led the final team, weapons flashing, armor burning, but they moved forward without fear. Deep inside the fortress, Cole entered the main control chamber, and there stood King Draxa, waiting. Between them, Marcus Vire lay on the floor, broken and shaking. "You destroyed your own people," Cole said. "You sold their lives." Vire cried in fear. "I only wanted to survive," he begged. King Draxier laughed. "Survival belongs to the strong," he said. But something changed in Vire's eyes. For the first time, he understood the truth. He was never chosen, only used. With a final act of fear and regret, Vire crawled toward the control panel. His shaking hand reached for the emergency override. "You cannot stop this," the king roared. But Vire pressed the switch. The entire fortress shook. Power systems failed. Enemy shields collapsed. Barbarian fleets outside lost control in chaos. Human ships did not waste the chance. They attacked with everything, wave after wave of fire. The fortress began to fall apart. King Draxier turned toward Vire in rage. And in that moment of distraction, Commander Cole fired. The shot struck the king's armor core. The king fell with a roar that shook the chamber. The ruler of the Barbarian Empire was defeated. The fortress collapsed around them. Cole escaped with his team just as the massive structure exploded into light. The shockwave tore through the enemy fleet, destroying what remained. When the fire faded, the war was over. Across the galaxy, the signals stopped. Barbarian ships surrendered or fled into deep space. Humanity stood alone in the silent stars, wounded, broken, but alive. Days later, Commander Cole stood before the Human Council once more. The war was finished. The traitor was dead. The enemy king was gone. "We paid a heavy price," Cole said, "but we did not lose who we are." Across human worlds, people remembered the fallen. Captain Elias, the soldiers, the pilots, the countless lives lost. Humanity had survived betrayal, darkness, and near extinction. And as the galaxy slowly returned to silence, one truth remained clear to all. Peace is never a gift. It is always earned, and humanity would never again forget the cost of trusting the wrong king.